Perhaps the most frequently diagnosed emotional condition is narcissism, at least frequent in terms of people with a non-clinical viewpoint of it. In fact, people use the term constantly and casually as if they actually knew what they're talking about, but most of them don't. I'm going to clear up the confusion about what narcissism is and whether the condition is demonic. And in this podcast, I'm going to analyze the difference between the activity of demons and the exploitative actions of a true narcissist. Hi, I'm Bob Larson. Millions around the world know me as the real exorcist. I've battled demons for 5 decades. I'm going to share with you what I've learned about how demons and the devil seek to kill, steal, and destroy. Some late breaking news. On Sunday, December the 8th, I'm going to be back with my good friend Pastor Vlad at the Hungry Generation Church for 2 services on Sunday morning, December the 8th. Go to our website, boblarson.org, for all the details. And please subscribe and hit that notification bell, would you? You'll know then about this and other things that are happening, and you will be the first to be tuned in to get vital information. And of course, as always, like and share. Liking encourages YouTube to take a second look at us and see how important this is to so many people. And sharing, of course, expands the outreach of this ministry by letting other people have the opportunity to benefit from the same spiritual insights as we are sharing with you. Let's jump right into this. What is a narcissist? In Greek mythology, Narcissus was a hunter from the area of current-day Turkey known as Izmir. I've actually been there. It's the gateway city to the ancient ruins of the biblical city of Ephesus. Narcissus was known for his beauty, very handsome, and according to the ancient Greek poet Ovid, Narcissus loved no one until eventually fell in love with his own reflection in a pool of water, and he was entranced by it. And as the legend has it, he beat his breast purple in agony at being kept apart from this reflected love himself. The character narcissist is used by psychologists and clinicians to describe someone with a self-centered personality style, a narcissist. Someone marked by grandiosity, excessive need for attention and admiration, and an inability to emphasize. Now, don't jump to conclusions yet that that's the person you're married to or the person you're dating or some significant other. Just wait until I have more to say. So, just like the old Greek god who was representational of a demon that came to bear the same name, so it is today that people who have narcissism may also have demons, but more about that later as we develop the theme. Several times a day, when I'm conducting encounter sessions of deliverance ministry, whether it's virtually by the internet or whether in person right here in our offices in Phoenix, Arizona, I hear people classify a significant other or family member as a narcissist. In fact, it's really the go-to description for anyone who has an exaggerated sense of self-importance. Well, that's part of what identifies a narcissist. These characteristics may be true when it comes to defining narcissism. The student of deliverance ministry immediately recognizes that demonization and narcissism have common personality traits. People with demons are often manipulative and insensitive, but they can also be charming and beguiling. How can you know whether to ditch the person you're involved with because they are a narcissist, or whether you should send them to someone like me, an exorcist? Who was the first narcissist? Lucifer. Narcissist personality disorder is a mental health condition, as we just said, in which people have an exaggerated sense of their own importance. They need attention. They seek attention. And when you are in the presence of a narcissist, you'll notice that they want all the attention. They want people to admire them. If this sounds a little bit like Lucifer, you're right. He was the first narcissist in the universe. The Bible tells us that in Isaiah chapter 14, verses 13 through 14. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. That's Lucifer speaking. I will also sit on the mount of the congregation, on the farthest sides of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. That's a narcissist. The devil wanted the attention of all created beings in the heavenly realm. He didn't care. He didn't try to understand what his actions would lead to. Behind his brilliant appearance as the illuminated son of the morning was a sense of extreme confidence that he could dethrone God. Lucifer accepted no criticism. He was certain of his insurrection. The Bible doesn't tell us all the things that motivated the devil to rebel against God. There's obviously more to this story, but it is obvious that the devil was disappointed that the angels of heaven did not bow before his beauty. And that is why he said he wanted to be like the Most High God, actually exalt his throne above that of God himself. This was Satan, Lucifer, as I said, exhibiting the traits of narcissism. Satan wasn't out to make friends, compatriots in the angelic realm. He wanted sycophants who would do exactly what he said. It's interesting to note that narcissistic disorders affect more males than females. Young male children sometimes make themselves the center of a private universe, but through maturation and education, they learn that no individual can have everyone swirling around them. Life is competitive, and that's good. But for the narcissist, he doesn't want competition. He wants the competition destroyed so there are no challengers to his way of looking at things. And that was Lucifer, the devil in the beginning. And that is a typical narcissist. How do you spot a narcissist? What are the characteristics of someone who's afflicted with narcissism? If you're going to quickly condemn someone for being a narcissist, and a lot of people do that, they jump to that conclusion, first take a close look at what secular psychology says about this personality disorder. Clinicians have studied it. Now, we've already identified there are some common traits of exaggerated self-importance and lack of empathy for the feelings of others. We've also pointed out how much the narcissist needs constant admiration. Narcissists feel entitled, and that the normal rules of human interaction don't apply to them. They have the right to make their own rules, which once again is a demonic characteristic. The narcissist may exploit others for personal gain and feel absolutely no guilt. And that's why sometimes there's a connection between narcissism and the spirit of Jezebel. And like Jezebel, the narcissist uses charm and seduction to influence others for human subjugation. The narcissist acts at the expense of other people without a single bone of humility. He doesn't care. The narcissist is driven by grandiose ideas that they expect others to accept. And if you don't go along with them, look out. Their retribution can be deadly. They are looking for people that they can use for their own ego, their ego extension, without giving those they take from anything in return that has relationship value. Well, I've just described not only narcissism, but the demonized mind. The mind of somebody who has a demon. But unlike the narcissist, who often looks charming The devil and demons are experts at camouflage and seducing their victims. Let's say that you know someone who's a narcissist. Maybe you're married to them. Maybe you're dating them. Maybe you have a business relationship with them and you're wondering, what do I do? How do I handle this person? Well, being with a narcissist, especially if they have demons, is a challenge, no matter what the relationship is, especially if there's a soul tie. Narcissists are by nature manipulative, and if they are demonized, that manipulation is aided by a supernatural intelligence. I want to give you some tips on how to ditch the narcissist in your life. Number one, set well-defined boundaries. 1 Samuel 16:23 tells us that rebellion and witchcraft go hand in hand. The narcissist person you're in a relationship with, that person, whether it's family member, a romantic interest, or a spouse, they're always going to try to cross the boundaries. You must begin by breaking soul ties with anyone who is a narcissist, and you must be firm and unyielding. The nature of demons and narcissism is to test the boundaries to see whether or not you're going to give in. And this is exactly what happened in the Garden of Eden when the ultimate narcissist, the serpent, questioned what God had said and tempted Eve to violate the boundary of eating forbidden fruit. Second, don't try to win arguments with a narcissist, especially if demons accentuate their behavior. In fact, narcissists love conflict. They often try to start an argument as a means of getting control. And demons do exactly the same. They create strife and discord to take advantage. They put forth plausible arguments for disobedience to God. And the true narcissist is also out to manipulate and argue. So don't take the bait. Do what Jesus did. When the devil tempted him, he simply stood on the word of God. Number three, limit your vulnerability. Stand on the word of God and don't be drawn into contentious arguments with a narcissist. Avoid the power struggles that narcissists and demon-possessed people thrive on. State your biblical principles clearly and don't get into a battle of the wills. Don't try to win. Leave the victory to the Lord and avoid provocation and being drawn into disputes that only feed the emotions of the narcissist and have no reasonable possibility of resolution. And when necessary, just walk away from the contentiousness of the narcissist. It's the same when dealing with those whose emotions are manipulated by demons. Anybody involved in exorcism or deliverance has to know when to confront such evil powers and also know when to walk away. For years, I have studied these arguments for and against cessation. Here's what I conclude. First, those who oppose the current operation of spiritual gifts have never allowed themselves to be available as a recipient of such gifts. Second, they lack empirical evidence for all of their arguments. This is also true of continualists who oppose exorcism. Their knowledge of what God is doing today through deliverance ministries is usually prejudiced by secondhand information and observing the egregious use of deliverance tactics that would abhor even me. To summarize, here are the 5 questions that must be faced without prejudice from either a cessation or continuation perspective. 1. The overt activity of demonic forces is increasing in both numbers and demonstration. Is there no answer to this from a cessation perspective? No response demonstrating God's power over evil? Number 2, our ministry's documentation of thousands of exorcisms, both on video and in case study files, is no exercise of delusion. There are innumerable testimonies of changed lives, saved marriages, bodies healed, mental stability restored, and Christ glorified by such deliverances. Can this data be reasonably ignored? Number 3, if the devil is increasingly active with paranormal phenomena, are Christians supposed to stand by helplessly with no recourse to overcome this evil? Number 4, what is to be done with millions of suffering souls who experience supernatural torment and have found no cure with doctors, counselors, or pastors whose pat answer is to pray more and read the Bible more? Number 5, every year I personally perform more than 1,000 virtual and in-person exorcisms. In a single day, I witness more of the miraculous power of God through deliverance than most pastors will ever see in a lifetime. I really pray this has been helpful to you to understand truly what narcissism is and what you do if you're involved in a serious relationship of some kind at some level with a narcissist. But here's a few final thoughts. It is very difficult to reason with a true narcissist. It's like trying to reason with a demon in some cases. It's almost that kind of stubbornness. And remember that, especially this Christmas season, it's a time when you're together with family members, and some of those family members may be narcissists. So don't get into any serious discussions with them. You don't want to talk about serious things with a narcissist unless you want the holiday cheer to melt away like newly fallen snow. It's hard to reason with such an individual, especially if they're under some type of demonic occupation. In other words, if they have narcissism and demons, you have a big challenge, and that's not going to get solved over a plate of turkey. The spirit of Leviathan, the demon of pride, he's the one who often motivates and even possesses true narcissists. That's why they exaggerate their own achievements and insist on being treated as superiors. The narcissist may be convinced that they are so special, they ought to be held in high regard no matter what the facts are. This sense of excessive admiration gives them a sense of entitlement. It defies reason and logic. You can't use reason with that kind of a person. And when dealing with a narcissist, it's helpful to distinguish between the demonic, spiritual aspects of narcissism and a psychological condition. Now, you're probably not a clinician, and you don't really understand this from the psychological standpoint, but there are a lot of great medical websites and psychological websites that you could go to and read up on this if you think you are involved with a true narcissist. So what you're trying to do is distinguish between that which is satanic and that which is of the mind, psychological. And if the situation is basically spiritual and that's what the Lord has shown you, or that's what you decide, prayers of deliverance may be the only thing that will truly set a narcissist free. And if they refuse all help, then you're going to have to evaluate the nature of the relationship with the one who is a narcissist. You might even need to ditch them for a time, lest their twisted way of thinking becomes a spiritual detriment to you. And their behavior brings emotional and spiritual harm to you and your walk with the Lord. Don't let the narcissist take control. That's what they want. But at the same time, know when it's a useless conflict that isn't going to go anywhere to get in a fight with a narcissist. I've given you some good advice about how to handle it, how to set the boundaries, how to walk away when necessary. Go back and take a second look at this and get yourself up to speed if you think you are really involved with a narcissist. Even more so if that person has demons. Get them to see me. Virtual encounter, in person. Come to see me. Let me talk to you about it, or bring that person with you. or let us refer you to one of our very special associate ministers, or one of our trained Do What Jesus Did teams who know how to work with this kind of thing. And at least they're going to be in a better place than you are because of their experience to identify the things that are actually demonic. Don't just leave yourself in this situation. Get some good therapy, some good Christian counseling, or follow up with a direct in-person or virtual opportunity for talking it over with me so I can give you some spiritual guidance. And if you become demonized because you are with a demonized narcissist, we need to do an exorcism and follow a deliverance process that's going to help you get free. Now listen, if this information has been valuable, I want to ask you a simple question. Where in the deliverance community would you have gone to get this kind of information that's so specific, so direct, and frankly, so informative? I put a lot of time and effort into this to make sure I gave you the correct understanding. Well, there aren't many places you could go outside of a good Christian counselor, but they may not do deliverance. So that's why this ministry is so important. And right now, there are millions of people all over the world who are being helped by what you've seen. But it doesn't just happen. The studio, the facilities, the staff, all of the electronic equipment, it's made possible by you. Everything that we do that allows me to sit in front of that camera and deliver a message like this is because of your tithes and your offerings. We're approaching the end of the year. You may need to catch up on your giving. And if you do so before December 31, that's a tax deduction for the entire year, and it helps us for the coming year and future years. So thank you. You can text your gift by the word give, and they're going to put that number on the screen now so you will know where to go. But you can also go to boblarson.org, click on the donate button, and share the most generous gift that you can, especially an extra generous year-end gift. Thank you very much for helping us out to get across a message that not many are willing to talk about, are equipped to talk about, and have the experience, because I've worked with a lot of people who are narcissists. They are definable as narcissists. And we've had great success in getting these people to understand how demons, in many cases, through spiritual oppression or outright obsession and possession, is influencing their narcissistic way of thinking to make us something very destructive and dangerous. You help us to do that. And thank you so much. And because of you, we're about to close out another year in which thousands and thousands of people have finally learned how to get free, stay free, and live free.
Your financial support and prayers make it possible for us to bring hope for the hurting and freedom to those in spiritual bondage. For the latest information regarding ministry outreaches, go to boblarson.org or call 303-980-1511.